Modern Warfare 2's beta is here, and it gives us a look at the overall picture for what will be Call of Duty for the next 2 years. Not only do we get a slice at some of the mechanics that will feature in Warzone 2 and the DMZ mode, but we also get to see hands-on and in center what the multiplayer is going to look like. Today I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on where things are and where they're heading. And at the moment, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Whilst Modern Warfare 2 has made lots of really great technical improvements that will definitely benefit some elements of the game like Ground War and also Warzone, there are some things about the multiplayer that just don't make for a good experience. Now, it's worth bearing in mind that this is a beta, and some things will definitely change, and it does look as though Infinity Ward is actively looking at those things at this point in time. But, you know, this is just a very small sliver of the game. There is Ground War, there's likely going to be Gunfight, there'll be DMZ, there'll be Warzone, there'll be Spec Ops, there'll be Campaign. And this is just one sliver of the overall cake, so to speak. But let's dive into the things I liked and the things I didn't like. Now, Modern Warfare 2 is a direct successor to Modern Warfare 2019. And as far as Call of Duties go, Modern Warfare 2019 was not a traditional Call of Duty. It had an entirely different flavor, pacing, flow, and ultimately it aimed to be a broadly appealing first-person shooter, not a traditionally appealing Call of Duty shooter. And if you didn't like Modern Warfare 2019, you probably won't like Modern Warfare 2, because the same principles have applied here. Modern Warfare 2019 was one of the most successful Call of Duties to date in recent history, and with that success means that the sequel really wasn't going to be much different. Now, Modern Warfare 2 does make some drastic upgrades from technical standpoints, such as audio, graphically, the way weapons handle, and things of that demeanor, but if the general vibe of the game wasn't something you liked with Modern Warfare 2019, not much is going to sway your opinion on Modern Warfare 2. On the flip side of that, if you liked Modern Warfare 2019, then you're in for a treat, because Modern Warfare 2 is more of that and better in some places. That's not to say all hope is lost for traditional Call of Duty fans. It's clear from very early on that the maps have been designed with a much more standard 3-lane view in field, as opposed to all of the maps being open and a bit more tactical and a bit more corner to corner. These maps definitely have much more distinct lanes, and I think that that will be a deliberate design choice that will carry on over to the launch maps as well. So what about these upgrades that I keep talking about? Well, Modern Warfare 2 has made quite a lot. The new Gunsmith is fantastic. It allows for really distinct visual designs and actual physical designs of weapons, and the new weapon family system basically means that you have more choice than ever before. It is obviously a very good upgrade from Modern Warfare 2019, and in my opinion is the best customization system they've had to date. Now, whilst the beta only offers a sliver of what we can expect at launch, you could see that with the family system, they were really working hard so that each weapon felt like a distinct weapon family, and that you could then create variations upon that that would make that even more unique. And it felt good. It felt like there were certain builds and ways you could approach things that you've never really been able to do before. So the Gunsmith system is a massive upgrade. Graphically, the game looks fantastic, and it seems to run extremely well on PlayStation 5, which bodes well for the Series X and also for PC players as well. At 1440p, I was getting a hard and steady 120 FPS with seemingly zero dips at all. So that's another seeming upgrade as well. I would say visually the game looks a little bit more defined and a little bit cleaner in places. Textures look better, the weapon models look better, and even simple things like how grenades look and how kill streaks look, generally speaking, seem to be visually improved. But the biggest upgrade, without a shadow of a doubt, is the audio. The audio in this game is fantastic. Hearing footsteps is both really good in terms of audio volume, but also in terms of the positional level of the audio, and the sound of guns, even when they're suppressed, is super cracky. It just, you feel it. You feel it in your hands, you feel the oomph of it, and that's what's really exciting about the audio in terms of weapons, in terms of footsteps and being able to locate people. And the bigger thing as well is that things that you wouldn't expect to have an audio upgrade have an audio upgrade. Rocket launchers sound substantially better. Kill streaks sound much more better. I mean, the A10 in this game is a night and day improvement over the Modern Warfare 2019 airstrike, and it just sounds drastically better. cluster strikes, grenades, flashbangs, just sounds in the game just feel more crisp, feel more vivid, and positionally, all of them feel a hell of a lot better as well. I can only imagine how much of an upgrade this audio system will be for Warzone 2, but my fingers are crossed because so far in the multiplayer, it is easily the best upgrade to date. Speaking of upgrades, I spoke on the Gunsmith system, but weapon handling and weapon feel is also really, really good in the game. The recoil patterns feel very strong and distinct, and weapons generally feel like they have an actual kick to them. Now, I don't know how the balancing is going to work out in multiplayer, but at least in Warzone 2, it's safe to say that long-range assault rifles are no longer going to be a super meta decision. You are going to have to choose between LMGs, long-range ARs, and other long-range options like DMRs and snipers, because the amount of vertical and horizontal recoil over range means being accurate over range for a sustained period of time is much more challenging. So from a balance standpoint, for Warzone at least, the game looks like it's heading in a much better direction. But just the general feel of weapons, the kick of an MP5K, or, you know, the smoothness of an M4A1, these all feel really good. Now, it's not entirely perfect. There is a lot of visual recoil as opposed to actual recoil, which definitely needs some addressing. But the other major issue is the amount of smoke that comes from the muzzle of the various weapons. Now, I understand that they want things to look and feel realistic, but sometimes the amount of muzzle flash and smoke makes it damn near impossible to see who you're shooting at after 2 to 3 shots. But on the whole, from a mechanical standpoint, from a gunplay standpoint, from a general audio standpoint, and a movement standpoint to some extent, the game feels like an upgrade. Now, we will touch on movement again, because whilst I feel as though the animations and how it looks and how it feels is fantastic, there is a little bit of an issue when it comes to Modern Warfare multiplayer versus Warzone, and we will touch on that a little bit later. So we've got the upgrades, and we've got all the other things that Modern Warfare 2 is doing, and the fact that it's a lot like Modern Warfare 2019. So what problems exist in Modern Warfare 2? Other than things like muzzle smoke and muzzle flash, the time to kill is probably the biggest example. Now, the time to kill in Modern Warfare 2019 was fast, and in Modern Warfare 2, it seems to be either equally as fast, if not faster. And this is a hell of a problem in the game for a number of reasons. It really reduces the amount of variation in weapons on the field, because people just go for the fastest rate of fire weapons, and also tend to go for the fastest ADS weapons as well. And because the time to kill is somewhere around 100 to 200 milliseconds, whoever aims down sight first tends to win, and whoever fires first tends to win. And I think this is a bit of an issue at the moment, because it massively reduces the appeal of trying different weapons, when ultimately quick ADS and accurate weapons and, you know, just generally high rate of fires will be superior, so you wouldn't try anything like a DMR or a 3-burst weapon or anything of that demeanor at all. But it also just generally makes the gunplay feel really inconsistent. When you shoot at an opponent, it sometimes feels as though it takes 4 or 5 shots to take them down. But when you get killed, it feels as though it's 1 to 2 shots. Now, whether it's the time to kill, the networking, or how the netcode is working in the game right now, generally, the entire experience is very inconsistent. And with inconsistency breeds frustration. It feels like you die really fast, but when you shoot at targets, sometimes they die quick, sometimes they don't. Generally speaking, right now, I would say they need to double the health at the bare minimum just to make things feel normal. Because right now, sometimes it feels like you die in a shot, sometimes it feels like you have a little bit of time to react, sometimes it's all over before you've even blinked. And it's a real issue because it affects the overall pacing of the multiplayer. People are less aggressive, people don't really approach the game as you would expect in a Call of Duty multiplayer environment, and sometimes, honestly, it feels more like I'm playing Rainbow Six Siege than I am playing Call of Duty. Now, for me, that's not a problem. I love tactical shooters. But for some people out there, that's not going to be appealing. And I wonder whether or not this is a conscientious design decision, or if this is just something that they have kind of conjured up. If it's something that they're looking to go for, then I say they go for it. But overall, I think the TTK just needs an increase, because right now, I don't think the combination of a low TTK, questionable hit reg and netcode, plus, you know, the super fast nature of the game in some instances, doesn't lend itself very well to each other. You die too fast, or it looks like you've died too quickly, or it looks like somebody you've killed has taken too long to die. It's just a bit of a mess, and once you get hands-on with it, I think a lot of you will understand what I'm talking about. And this is made worse by things like the muzzle flash and muzzle smoke, and one of the biggest things I've noticed is the amount of weapon flinch that you get whenever you take a single shot. If you get shot once in this game, your gun flies into the sky, and the accuracy is really hard. You may not notice it at first when you first start playing, but after a couple of gunfights, you'll realize that once you get hit, the amount of sway on your scope and how far you get pulled off target is very, very drastic. I think overarchingly, Modern Warfare 2's beta shows that the game is kind of in a weird space. On the one hand, certain modes like Prisoner Rescue and Search and Destroy feel very tactical and methodical and feel like a lot of fun. And weirdly, TDM and Domination kind of almost feel like they're out of place in this slightly more methodical shooter. Now, I imagine the game is going to run really well with Ground War, and I think Ground War is going to be a lot of fun with the weapons, the customization, the chaos, and the spawns. And I also feel like some of the more competitive 6v6 modes with this slightly more methodical approach have been a lot more fun to play. And I also think all of these upgrades are going to be fantastic for Warzone 2 and DMZ. But in the case of just standard COD multiplayer, it's a little bit weird. It almost feels as though we're playing something more like an advanced tactical shooter or a Rainbow Six Siege 2 than we are a Call of Duty. Now, again, that will kind of work for you or not work for you in different ways. For me personally, I really enjoy it. I think I've had a lot of fun with the beta. Although I think there do need to be some improvements to the time to kill, I've generally enjoyed the experience, and I think all of the upgrades made have been wonderful to experience. But for some people, this is going to feel really strange. If you're into Ground War, Warzone, or anything like Spec Ops Campaign or just COD generally, you will like all of those aspects of the game. But if you're expecting a fast-paced 6v6 meat grinder shooter like you get from Black Ops Cold War, other previous Black Ops titles, or just older Call of Duties generally, that isn't really here. It'll be interesting to see what the general reception is to the vast majority of players. Now, the 1% hyper-engaged Call of Duty fan base who love classic and traditional COD bases don't seem to really enjoy this game. They want the minimap back with pings, they want faster sprint speeds, they want the game to run quicker and feel more fast-paced. But people who liked Modern Warfare 2019, or just generally like the look of this shooter that doesn't maybe necessarily fit the traditional COD mold, I'm interested to see what they think. Because Modern Warfare 2019 was not a traditional Call of Duty, yet it was the most successful to date. And the same formula might be applying here. It's almost as though every other segment of the game, Warzone 2, Ground War, Spec Ops, things like that, are going to feel really enjoyable, offer a really tactical experience in some places, and really fun experiences too. And new modes like Search and Rescue definitely seem to work on that front as well. But Domination, TDM, and in some cases Search and Destroy, the old school COD kind of feels like it doesn't fit here in some places. Playing Domination in this game doesn't really feel all that enthralling, but playing a slightly more slower paced, slightly more gripping 6v6 Prisoner Rescue mode seemed to actually press a lot of buttons for me. And I guess it will press other people's buttons in different ways. Some people will like it, and some people simply won't. Overall though, I would give this a 7.5 out of 10, I would say. I think there's a lot of potential here, and with a bit of tweaking, I think Modern Warfare 2 could offer a really interesting, dare I say it, tactical shooter experience. Not to mention things like third-person mode, Warzone, DMZ, Ground War, all these other things that we're yet to even experience yet. But on the other hand, I guess there is the potential here that if you're a regular COD fan who likes their 6v6 meat grinder, this might not be the game for you. If the sales of Modern Warfare 2019 are anything to go off of though, I think, generally speaking, Activision and Infinity Ward are on the right run with Modern Warfare 2. This is going to be a broadly appealing game that broadly appeals to lots of first-person shooter fans, whether they are a traditional COD player or not. At the moment, as somebody who plays slow-paced tactical shooters like Squad, Ready or Not, Rainbow Six Siege, and other hardcore shooters as well, I've never felt more at home playing a Call of Duty before, which is a weird thing to say, and I can imagine how much fun that's going to be in Warzone 2. As for others, Who knows? We'll have to wait and see how the general reception is, but I would say for me, the glove seems to fit. That's it for this video today, folks. Let me know what your thoughts are on Modern Warfare 2. Have you enjoyed it? Are you a little bit concerned? Is there something that you're really looking forward to? And I'll catch you again in the next one.